Hi everyone, this is Vineet Pandey and today we have a special video for JKPSC exam. So the tentative date is 15th September. There are some chances that they may exceed the exam date. But right now if we see, we have approx 2 months plus some days. Around हमारे पास 60 days हैं and 60 days are more than enough for JKPSC exam. All the students who are already studying in our classes, I interacted with many of them. They told me that, sir, we have revised everything, we have covered everything. What should we do? So I told them that we have around 60 days and we can revise those things on weekly basis. Per week, you can cover certain things. That is the same strategy I'm going to share with you. And there is also a great news that if you are from JKPSC background, you're preparing for this particular exam, you're preparing for the government exam, JKPSC 10+2, if you feel that your preparation somewhere is lacking, if you feel somewhere you really need the expert guidance, this is the time we have announced the crash course, JKPSC crash course. And the best part about this crash course is that the fees is very low. We have kept this thing in the mind that students coming from the background of Kashmir and Jammu, they are living in the area. Sometimes they don't get good institutions, good universities and other things. Apart from that, I also have a bond with my Kashmiri students and the students of Jammu. Many of you know that we had a special Sahitya classes branch in Gandhinagar area. So this is the reason that we have started the crash course to help you all, and this will help you in an abundant way. We will tell you what to read, how to read, and the entire syllabus will be presented in front of you with my experience. So let's go and talk about today's topic. Share this video with everyone, all the students who want to prepare. Now, as we have come back to the point, the most important thing, how to focus on certain important things. It is a big syllabus. See this thing. When they say Unit 1, in the very first thing in Unit 1, when they say History of English Literature, History of English Literature, it's not just a word in 4 or 5 words, History of English Literature. They have said this thing, but this is everything. And here, what they did, they actually focused on Middle English, Renaissance, Restoration, Augustan, Romantic, Victorian, Modern, and Postmodern. Then why the hell they mentioned this thing? The point is this. They want you to understand that 5 to 6 ages are more important, but the smart preparation is that you don't miss the small ages. For example, if you are preparing in a proper way with experts, see this thing, Renaissance and Restoration, where is Elizabethan age? Did you notice this point? Where is Elizabethan age? Renaissance started by 1485, 1490. In some books, they say 1450. So somewhere you can also agree that, okay, 1450 can be taken as the initial years of Renaissance. So when you say Renaissance to Restoration, why JKPSC will ignore Elizabethan age? Can you ignore William Shakespeare? Can you ignore Marlowe? Can you ignore Edmund Spenser? Can you ignore Francis Bacon? Can you ignore John Donne? So the bigger writers, the best writers who actually fall in the category of Elizabethan writers, they have been completely ignored. No, they actually want you to understand that the gap from Renaissance to Restoration is important, and here they will make the paper tough. I get calls, so sometimes the students are very intelligent. Sometimes they say that, sir, the syllabus is normal, tell me what should I read. Sometimes they say, sir, I will read only whatever is written in the syllabus. So if you read only whatever is written in the syllabus, you will be surprised in exam. फिर आप पेपर में surprise हो जाएंगे. Another example, you can see this. Augustan age and Romantic age. Augustan age officially ends by 1745. Romantic age officially starts by 1798. 1745 to 1798. Where are the other 40 years? 42 years, 43 years. Why there is no Thomas Gray mentioned? Why William Collins, William Blake, William Cooper? Where are graveyard poetries? So the point is that they have given you the syllabus with loopholes, and if they want to make paper tough, UGC NET tough exam. So there also I told that don't trust the syllabus. If for competitive exam you just rely on the main syllabus, you will be shocked in exam. अपने आप से पूछो, Augustan age, Romantic age, 1745 it ends. 1798 Romantic age starts. 45 to 98. What if they ask 2 writers from that? वो सिर्फ इतना पूछ ले. And the most important is Samuel Johnson. How can you ignore Samuel Johnson? He falls in this category. So point is, when you prepare, focus on the loophole. So I hope you have understood the idea that I wanted to say. Now, all the smart students who study the modern age and the postmodern age, remember this thing: early moderns, high moderns, ultra moderns. And a lot of scholars, even those who are studying in a proper way, they do not read Great Depression literature. So make sure you know the Great Depression novelists. Regular questions are being asked. Unko pad lena. In postmoderns, as they have not given any writers, so what you have to do simply, postmodern and moderns का difference क्या है? Postmodern techniques, postmodern characteristics, ये याद करके जाओ. Imagine they just ask you what is the difference between the moderns and postmoderns. Will you just say the time? No, time is not the different thing. Because if you say timing, then Lawrence Sterne, who falls in the sentimental age of drama, neoclassical, pre-romantic age of writings, the novel writer, Lawrence Sterne's Tristram Shandy, the Gentleman, is called the first postmodern novel. तो वो आ रहा है अराउंड 1750 की टाइमिंग से. देन इंग्लिश पोइट्री, यहां पे टफ क्वेश्चन बनने के चांसेस है. व्हाट इज द क्वेश्चन यू आर एक्सपेक्टिंग? क्या वो ये पूछेंगे कि अच्छा पैराडॉक्स किसने लिखा है? फ्रेंकली पूछ सकते हैं, बट इफ इट इज अ गवर्नमेंट जॉब एग्जाम, जम्मू कश्मीर पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन, they can ask any level question, high level question. Even MPPSC, MPPSC was very tough. HPSC level, they are very tough. They will ask you quotations, themes, lines, and characters along with your literary devices. They have mentioned a lot of literary devices, no doubt. If you say that, sir, they have given literary devices at the end of the syllabus. So you see oxymoron is here, onomatopoeia, irony, allusion. Sir, इन्होंने literary device तो दिया हुआ ही है. So they will not ask literary devices separately. That will be a blunder if you think so. See, William Shakespeare, for example, ठीक है, Milton, both have used one particular style. Let's see if they have given it to you or not. Pun, alliteration, assonance, consonance, paradox, hyperbole, to all these things. Okay? Now your scholars, and I'm sure if you are studying in good coaching classes, your teachers must have taught you this thing that William Shakespeare in his poetry dramas used to practice blank verse. Blank verse is unrhymed iambic pentameter. The word blank verse, the term was coined by Earl of Surrey, Henry Howard. Sorry, just a slip of tongue. Earl of Surrey, Henry Howard coined, invented blank verse. It is unrhymed iambic pentameter. It is also called Marlowe's mighty line. So you are reading William Shakespeare, you are reading John Milton, and then they have not given blank verse. Blank verse यहाँ पे नहीं है. So will you read it or not? Just asking. So if you say, no sir, we'll stick to the syllabus only. Friends, you will have to read, पढ़ना पड़ेगा. Because if you are studying Shakespeare and you don't know blank verse, then what kind of study you have done? You read Paradise Lost and you don't know what is blank verse. What is that? Now see this thing. All these kind of devices, do we have Spencerian stanza anywhere mentioned? No. But when you read poetry and you go to the poetry section, you'll find it out that they have clearly mentioned Edmund Spenser. So if you don't know Spencerian stanza, 9 lines with rhyme scheme, what do they call the last line and what was the satirical word used by Alexander Pope for that last line? There will be a trouble in exam. So don't worry, that is the reason I told you that we have a crash course, and in the crash course you will not miss any of these things. Let me tell you, if you have the crash course, what will you get in crash course? Delhi offline batch class, Delhi wali offline batch class, हर राइटर पे, हर एज पे डिटेल्ड कंटेंट, कुछ मिस नहीं होगा. टफ सिलेबस आया, अगर टफ पेपर आया, तुम्हें आता होगा, क्योंकि स्टेट लेवल पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन है और तुम पढ़ोगे नेशनल लेवल स्टैंडर्ड्स. सो दैट्स माय सजेशन. देन when you read these poets, make sure you remember famous lines, famous quotations from everyone. Like St. Coleridge, there is a famous line, work without hope is a nectar in a sieve. The line was used by Kamla Markandeya to write a novel. So these kind of quotations you have to remember. Wordsworth's famous lines, when it talks about when I oft in my couch I lie, in pensive mood they flash upon my inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. Then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with daffodils. Quotations याद करनी है. Tennyson, old order change the yielding place to new one. Let one good custom should corrupt the world. वो इतना सा पूछेंगे, what is this? The most important lines. Then everybody knows about Arnold, the most famous line, the seas calm tonight. Sophocles long ago hurried on the shore of Asian. In the class, we will prepare you with all most important quotations by everyone. P.B. Shelley said, poets are unacknowledged legislators of the world. What does that mean? It is a famous, repeatedly asked quote. So when you prepare for these things, and those who are already registered in classes, my own students, senior students who are studying in offline batches, revise these things. So you get regular guidance. Remember, don't leave any stone unturned. जो सीनियर बच्चे हैं, जो पहले से पढ़ रहे हैं, जो सब कवर कर चुके हैं और सिर्फ रिवीजन करना है, कुछ मिस मत करना. बी रेडी फॉर द टफेस्ट एग्जाम. मान के चलो कि बहुत टफ एग्जाम आएगा और तुम्हें इसी एग्जाम को क्रैक करना है. फोकस ऑन ऑल द थिंग्स दैट वी हैव प्रोवाइडेड. देन इंग्लिश ड्रामा. When they say Elizabethan to postmodern, see, Elizabethan drama, they have clearly mentioned this thing, right? And here they said 16th century, which is again Elizabethan. Okay. Now see this point. Why they did not mention Elizabethan age here? यहाँ Elizabethan नहीं बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन यहाँ 16th century बोल रहे हैं और यहाँ clear Elizabethan बोल रहे हैं. Here they are clearly mentioning Elizabethan. So in short, they want you to understand all those ages. पढ़ना सब है, but then focus on these ages specially. It means assertion reason kind of questions, comprehensive kind of questions, analytical kind of questions can be asked from these ages. Just asking you a question, what is the difference between middle age poetry? Middle age poetry and Renaissance poetry का difference क्या है? अपने आप से पूछो. Do you know that? What if they just ask you, what is Victorian age dramatic monologue? So will you be able to read 4 options and connect what is a dramatic monologue? So you have to go for all those points. Now, in drama, when they say Elizabethans to postmodern, all of these writers, the dramatists are there. We know this thing that P.B. Shelley is normally not studied as a dramatist, but he is there. Then Tom Stoppard is very important, postmodern writers. Sam Shepard we have done, it's very important. Samuel Beckett, Anton Chekhov, Eugene O'Neill, Henrik Ibsen. But क्या इनके सिर्फ ड्रामा करने? First of all, remember, don't forget their dramas. Publication timings, don't forget. Henrik Ibsen जो है, he is Norwegian writer. He is added here. तो आपको Hedda Gabler, Ghost, Wild Duck, Enemy of the People, Doll's House, इनके अगर order याद नहीं, if you don't remember the orders, there will be a big trouble for you. So first, remember all the writings, the publications, their orders. What if they ask you, Shakespeare's 4 great tragedies, set them in order. So like it is Hamlet, then Othello, then King Lear, then Macbeth. Or they give you 4 comedies and they ask you to set them in an order. So you make sure you remember the first basic things. Then comes the dramatic techniques. When you read Samuel Beckett, if you go for Samuel Beckett, there is a simple question that do you know what is absurdity? What is the idea that Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, there is a famous line, nothing happens twice. Tell me in the comments, what does it mean that in Waiting for Godot, nothing happens twice? Everybody will read Waiting for Godot. You will be prepared with Kraft's last tape, Endgame, Malloy, Malone dies, and Breath. When I will teach you, ये सारी चीजें आपको मिलेंगी. If you join right now, आपको बने बनाए lectures मिलेंगे. सब कुछ पहले से prepared है, fresh offline batch. Just focus on these things. Now imagine this. It's a government job exam. Do you want to take this risk? जब लड़ाई में कूदना है और जंग जरूरी है, तो कुछ मिस मत करो. That is my message to you all. Because success जो है, वो चाहता है कि आप आग में अगर आपको यज्ञ करना है तो बहुत आहुति डालनी पड़ती है, अपनी मेहनत डालनी पड़ेगी. मेक श्योर यू आर द बेस्ट, क्योंकि आपके कंपटीशन में आपसे दुगना कोई ना कोई पढ़ रहा होगा. इंग्लिश नॉवेल, अब इन्होंने फिर से क्या किया, 18th सेंचुरी टू 20th सेंचुरी, डैनियल डिफो से लेकर के मार्गरेट एटवुड. बट व्हेन दे से इंग्लिश नॉवेल, सो आर दे टॉकिंग अबाउट इंग्लिश लिटरेचर, इंग्लैंड, or anything written in English? So frankly, it is anything written in English, because Margaret Atwood is a Canadian writer. Do you know Margaret Atwood is the mother of Canadian literature? What if they just ask you what is Garrison mentality? What if they just ask you what is the idea of power politics by Margaret Atwood? Margaret Atwood को science fiction award दिया गया for some famous books. She denied to take the science fiction award. Handmaid's Tale. How many of you have watched this movie? अभी एक flop movie आई थी, Mahabharat kind of movie. Prabhas is there, Deepika Padukone is there. It is some dystopian story, and Kern, Amitabh Bachchan is there, right? Ashwatthama kind of things. Do you know keeping the women locked in the chamber and using them only for pregnancy purposes, which is also the concept of a Hollywood movie, Mad Max Fury. This concept actually comes from Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale. So they'll ask you these kind of questions. Joseph Conrad is not just a post-colonial writer. He is the only writer who deals with marine life in every book. हर किताब में या तो समुद्र है या नदी है, एक शिप है, एक सेलिंग है. That is his style. So when I'll teach you, I'll focus on all the main crux. इस बार UGC NET का पेपर बहुत tough आया है. They focused on comprehensive things. They focused on analytical things. So that is my suggestion. Don't just rely upon surface level learnings. Then in literary theory and criticism. So what I personally love about Jammu Kashmir SET exam, Jammu Kashmir Public Service Commission exam, जम्मू कश्मीर में लिटरेरी थ्योरी स्टैंडर्ड्स आर बेटर देन एनी अदर स्टेट इन इंडिया. तो आपके लिटरेरी थ्योरी क्वेश्चंस बहुत ज्यादा आएंगे. आई वाज टॉकिंग टू माय स्टूडेंट इन द मॉर्निंग. शी सेड सर क्या क्या पढ़ना है. आई सेड रिमेंबर दिस थिंग. आई रिमेंबर दैट ऑल द एग्जाम्स वेदर इट इज JKPSC और JK सेट और एनीथिंग रिलेटेड टू जम्मू कश्मीर, focus on literary theory, high level questions, tough questions. So focus on these things. Classicals to here means you have to read the literary classics. Greek criticism, Plato, Aristotle कौन है, neoclassical criticism, romantic criticism. Then you have to go for Victorian criticism. So when I ask you a question, how many of you know Victorian criticism? बहुत सारे बच्चों को नहीं पता होगा कि वहां पे ट्रैक्टेरियन मूवमेंट वो क्रिटिसिज्म का पार्ट है, प्लस द एस्थेटिक मूवमेंट, वॉल्टर पेटर्स आर्ट फॉर आर्ट से, इट इज द पार्ट ऑफ दैट थिंग. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, विक्टोरियन क्रिटिसिज्म में यू कैन ऑल्सो एड ऑन मैथ्यू आर्नोल्ड. देन कम्स द लिटरेरी थ्योरी, न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म, post-structuralist criticism, feminist criticism, post-colonial criticism. When they say feminist and post-colonial, the context-oriented theory, have they mentioned the writers? No. So they can ask any writer. This time the bell hooks was asked, one of the most unknown writers. Bell hooks can be asked, Kathy Acker can be asked. There are so many writers who are normally unknown. People think we have read Simone de Beauvoir, we have read Virginia Woolf, we know about Sylvia Plath, or we know about Kate Millett, Shulamit Firestone, so we are done with these writers. No, my dear friends. You should know 15 manifesto to be a feminist. किसने लिखा है? As a feminist, I am angry. We should all be angry. किसका work है? So that these kind of things that you have to read. It's very, very important. Just like that, in post-colonial criticism, you have to focus on all types of post-colonial writers. They can ask you questions from Salman Rushdie. They can ask you questions from V.S. Naipaul. They can ask you questions from E.M. Foster, Rudyard Kipling, or anybody. This time, they asked a question from Rudyard Kipling in UGC NET exam that was quite unknown work. All the students, they came and told me that, sir, this work was never even heard by us. कुछ भी कहीं से भी आ सकता है. One of the toughest kind of paper. So be sure that when you read these things, prepare in a proper way, focus on terminologies. आपको जॉयसेंस का मतलब पता होना चाहिए कि जॉयसेंस क्या है, बैकलैश थ्योरी फेमिनिज्म की क्या क्या आती है, पोस्ट कॉलोनियलिज्म में अगर आपसे ग्लोकलाइजेशन पूछा जाए, ग्लोकलाइजेशन क्या है, अडॉप्ट, अडैप्ट, अडेप्ट कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है, ये सारे कॉन्सेप्ट आपको ढंग से आने चाहिए. सेम इज इन इंडियन इंग्लिश लिटरेचर. हर बार क्वेश्चन आता है, मुल्क राज आनंद, RK नारायण, राजा राव, ये सारी चीजें आपको ना केवल ऐसे पढ़ना है दैट ओके द राइटर इन द बुक्स. Read the writer, his value, his identity, who is that writer, क्या उसका इंपॉर्टेंस है, राजा राव कौन है, क्या राजा राव के फेमस कोटेशंस कौन कौन से हैं, RK नारायण की क्यों बुक्स जो है इंडिया में पहले रिजेक्ट हुई फिर बाहर पब्लिश हुई, who helped RK नारायण to get his book published outside, MK आनंद, मुल्क राज आनंद, क्यों उन्होंने फेमस वर्क अनटचेबल में एक कॉन्सेप्ट बताया कि एक मॉडर्न टॉयलेट्स आ रहे हैं और लोग खुश हो रहे हैं. सो आपको ये सारी डिटेल में जाके चीजें देखनी है. विक्रम सेठ का इक्वल म्यूजिक क्या है, सुटेबल बॉय क्या है, कमला दास का फ्रीक्स क्या है, बहुत अच्छे क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. कमला दास का राइटिंग स्टाइल क्या है, व्हाट इज कन्फेशनल पोइट्री, एक एक राइटर पे. एंड देन यू हैव टू गो फॉर अमेरिकन्स. इफ यू हैव नॉट रेड हेमिंगवे, मार्क ट्वेन इन प्रॉपर वे, इन डिटेल, यू डोंट नो अमेरिकन्स, नेथानियल हॉथरॉन, लेटर ए से रिलेटेड एक क्वेश्चन बनता ही बनता है. सो लेटर ए का सिंबल क्या है, वाई शी इज वेयरिंग इट विद प्राउड, एंड इवन आफ्टर द डेथ ऑफ चिलिंगवर्थ एंड डेम्सडेल, व्हेन हेस्टर पेरिन रिटर्न्स टू द विलेज, शी इज स्टिल वेयरिंग दैट लेटर ए. व्हाट इज द रीजन बिहाइंड दैट? इस तरह के क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं. फॉकनर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. टोनी मॉरिसन, अफ्रो अमेरिकन राइटिंग्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. सिल्विया प्लाथ, कन्फेशनल राइटिंग्स. आर्थर मिलर, इस बार बहुत टफ क्वेश्चन आया था यूजीसी नेट में. फेमस वर्क दे दिया उन्होंने और ये पूछा कि ये बताओ प्रोज है कि पोइट्री. So normally all these writers, they write in prose only, but this was a kind of tough question. Everybody got troubled. रॉबर्ट फ्रॉस्ट को कितनी बार जो पुलिट्जर अवार्ड मिला है, या वॉल्ट विटमैन की फेमस पोइट्रीज के कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्या हैं, फेमस लाइन क्या है. डू यू नो वॉल्ट विटमैन सॉन्ग ऑफ माई सेल्फ में उसकी एज पूछी थी, दैट व्हाट इज द एज ऑफ वॉल्ट विटमैन इन द फेमस वर्क सॉन्ग ऑफ माई सेल्फ. आई सिंग माई सेल्फ, आई सेलिब्रेट माई सेल्फ. तो ये सारे चीजें जो है आपको प्रॉपर करनी है. अगर आपकी जगह मैं हूं, मैं ये दिए हुए सारे लिटरेरी टर्म्स, डिवाइसेस एंड ऑल एक एक पे मिनिमम हाफ पेज नोट्स तो डेफिनेटली बनाऊंगा. If I'm done with half page, it is okay, it is half page. If I need 1 page, 2 page, I'll go for it. What to do? See, literary devices, tenses, syntax. Tenses normally you all know, okay? You can focus on syntax, collocation, punctuation, articles, narration. Normally, many students preparing for JKPSC are already teaching in schools, so their grammar is better. So many of you will already be able to prepare with these things. Spellings, as you are literature students, you will not make any mistake. One word substitution, nobody will be doing it better than you. Homophones, homonyms भी तुम कर लोगे, लेकिन तुम्हारा मेजर पोर्शन आएगा ये, क्योंकि यहाँ पे स्कॉलर्स, अच्छे खासे पढ़े लिखे लोग, वो भी कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं. मेटाफर और सिमिली कई बार लोग आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर पाते कि मेटाफर क्या है. ही इज लाइक द लॉयन और ही इज द लॉयन ऑफ द क्लास, में बहुत फर्क है. सो मेक श्योर यू फोकस ऑन दीज थिंग्स, क्योंकि बहुत से लोगों को एनाफोरा समझ नहीं आएगा क्या होता है, एल्यूजन क्या होता है. एल्यूजन इल्यूजन दो अलग चीजें हैं. सेनोडॉकी जो है उसका मतलब क्या होता है, एलिगरी क्या है, ड्रीम एलिगरी क्या है, टाइप्स ऑफ एलिगरी क्या है, ये सारी चीजें आपको देखनी है. जैसे सिंबल है, सिंबलिस्ट मूवमेंट में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट राइटर्स कौन है. तो अगर मुझे लगता है कि इफ आई हैव टू प्रिपेयर एट योर लेवल राइट नाउ विद द गिवन सिलेबस, मैं अपने अकॉर्डिंग, अगर अभी मैं आज की बात करूं तो मुझे लगता है मैं अपने अकॉर्डिंग शायद ग्रामर पे ही फोकस करूंगा, बिकॉज बाकी सब चीजें मुझे ऑलरेडी टिप्स पे हैं. तो आई डोंट थिंक, या ज्यादा आई जस्ट रिवाइज दोज थिंग्स. नाउ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, इज देयर एनीथिंग आई डोंट टीच, इज देयर एनीथिंग दैट वी हैव नॉट डन? ईच एंड एवरीथिंग इज डन इन डिटेल्ड वे, इन प्रॉपर वे. तुम्हारे पास अराउंड 60 डेज हैं, एंड JKPSC जो क्रैश कोर्स है वो आपका स्टार्ट हो रहा है. यू जस्ट हैव टू स्कैन दिस. आपको सिर्फ और सिर्फ इसको स्कैन करना है. यू स्कैन इट एंड गो टू द पेज. आप वहां डायरेक्ट जाकर के ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं. द डेट फॉर योर बैच फॉर क्रैश कोर्स इज 17th जुलाई. 17 जुलाई हम आपको बैच का डेट दे रहे हैं. दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू, सो यू कैन चेक दिस. द डेट 17th July to 15th September. If your exam gets extended, your crash course fees will be valid. अगर आपका एग्जाम 1-1.5 महीने तक एक्सटेंड होता है, we will support you. कोई भी चीज एग्जाम कैंसिल, एडमिशन कैंसिल नहीं होगा. Will not cancel your admission. Just remember 17th July. Now you must be asking a big question कि सर ये बताइए कि फिर इसकी फीस वगैरह क्या होगी. आपका एक बड़ा क्वेश्चन होता है. चलिए आपको यहाँ पे इसकी स्क्रीन पे मैं क्लियर लिख देता हूँ. ये आपकी हेल्प करने के लिए है, क्रैश कोर्स है. दिस इज योर फीस. नॉर्मल फीस 25,000. This is our normal fees for crash course. This is the best offer for you. Remember this thing. This fees is valid till 17th July. 17 जुलाई के बाद ये फीस वैलिड नहीं रहेगी. We will close the admissions. We will close the admissions. Last date 17 July, because from that day your classes will start. Apart from these classes, you'll also get my live conversations, live quiz sessions, and rapid fire session. So you'll get my experience, my University of Delhi experience, multiple exam experience, and Delhi wali class. Ghar baithe. So fight for your government job, join the batch, and once again, to get into the class, just scan this. You'll go to this app, you'll be able to join it. The last date 17 July. So I believe you have taken the screenshot. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Next video, I'll tell you how to prepare for these things. God bless you all. Share the video with everyone in J&K.